Yeah, this is Theology in the Streets, where no topic goes untouched. I'm your boy, Pastor Lou, a.k.a. Late to the Game. I got with me.
And it's your boy, Don Dada, Pastor Newm, in the building once again.
Jammer's back at it, man. What's going on?
And our producer,
Kurt Classic, baby.
Kurt Classic. Amen, amen, amen.
Guess who's back?
Yeah.
Guess who's back?
Yeah.
For our listeners, guess who's back?
Come on.
Yeah. Guess who's back?
What's up, fellas? What's up, fellas? Y'all had a great 4th?
Beautiful moment.
Awesome.
Had a good day of relaxation.
You looked at in the pictures. You didn't look happy. You should have smiled more. He should have smiled more on his pictures. He looked
I'm
miserable.
trying to look gangster.
Those days are over.
That nerdy gangster look?
Yeah.
The nerdy gangster.
The nerdy
look.
gangster look.
The gangster days are over. Gangsters smile now. The new gangsters smile now.
All right, thanks for that. I'll do that next time.
Yeah. Look happy. Look happy. With your family.
Hey, Tats Nation.
Tats
Make sure you follow us on Facebook at Tats Podcast, on Instagram, Tats_podcast. Same handle on Twitter, Tats_podcast. And make sure you subscribe and watch our videos over at Theology and the Streets on YouTube. And also, listen, if you're listening to this on YouTube, you can check our podcast on Anchor.fm, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and listen that way as well. All right,
Nation. I love that.
So listen up. This show today is going to be an interesting one. Still kind of in this climate with racial tensions, but over the past few weeks, what we have found in our country is a lot of tearing down of statues that represent the Southern Guard. A lot of former generals and people of clout from the South who propagated slavery. They've been coming down. Their statues have been coming down. Which also led to the Black Lives Matter social justice warrior Shaun King in a conversation on Twitter saying that the white blue-eyed Jesus and his European mom should also be torn down in all our religious circles, and he has caught a lot of flack with that. And so that's the discussion we're going to have today. You tell me, does white Jesus need to go? Where y'all on that?
I don't understand why he caught slack on that. Why would they get mad?
Well, you got a whole bunch of white Christians that are probably offended, man.
But why would they be? Unless you don't know your Bible, why would you be offended?
I know you'd be surprised how many people still think Jesus is white.
And why? Reading the Bible, why would they think that?
Or do they read the Bible and it's just tradition that they're living?
There you go. So are they real believers at the end of the day? I mean, I don't want to get too deep, but you know what I mean? If you're not, it's pretty kind of hard to be in the faith and not, be in your Bible.
Actually, that's a controversy, man, because I've been researching, and it's two sides to it.
Okay.
There's a black Jesus or a Jesus of color, and there's still people out there that still believe Jesus was white, that the 12 tribes of Israel were white because of some historical evidence they claim to have.
They claim to have
something?
something?
Yeah, they claim to have, yeah.
Oh, okay. I would have to I have to see what they claim to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, send us that link and just kind of follow up on that.
Okay.
Because to me, it's kind of cut and dry.
Yeah, I think it's very clear. The scriptures point to a Jesus that is a man of color.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Plain and simple.
And when I say man of color, he was either Arab color or black, straight up.
One of the two.
One of the two. You know, he was olive skin or darker.
And we're not even getting deep about, let's just go by the region.
Yes.
You're under that type of heat in that climate.
Yes.
You have to remember, though, they were conquered by the Greeks, and what they did was the same things as what the Spaniards
assimilated.
did. Mm-hmm. They picked and chose who were they going to be their concubines, and they procreated abundantly for hundreds of years. And then the Romans came and did the same thing.
Except that you have in Matthew and also in Luke the lineage of Jesus.
Exactly.
And you have the testimony of who he comes from, and as far especially from his mom's side.
Exactly.
And if you look at David, the Bible also says that David was a man of ruddy skin, meaning reddish kind of skin.
Yep, exactly.
So he was a man of color as well.
He was Puerto Rican, David. Okay,
there we go.
Obviously, David. No, but that type of
gotcha.
That type of skin color.
All right, yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
So I got
And let me say this: that I don't know Sean King. And him saying it. Now, this is the thing, though. I think he kind of is apprehensive or abrasive. Let's put it like that. Similar to Twitter fingers Donald Trump. He is a little bit abrasive, and he is brash in some of his comments via social media. Yeah. I think maybe that dialogue, the way he presented himself, could have been better.
Okay.
But this is the issue. White people came at him.
Of course.
According to him, he
in
said,
the church?
He said white Christians. According to him, he said he had over 500 contacts that came against him, threatening him.
So that's the issue there. White Christians being offended that Jesus is not white.
Yes.
Is that the real topic here?
Or they're offended. My bad, Gemma. Go ahead. I don't mean to cut you off.
They're offended that they claim that Jesus is not white.
Or they're offended that the fact that he would say we need to tear down these symbols of the Jesus they see as normal in their eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Multivaried reasons for white Christians being offended.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And how do you feel about that?
As a Christian,
as them taking offense of that, exactly.
As them, it's hard to let go of, to relinquish power. It's
tradition?
hard to relinquish, what's the word? Influence they have on our society, because the white Jesus and the white disciples and the whitewashing of the names of the disciples, their names wasn't John and Matthew and Luke and Mark, bro. You know what I'm saying? So that played a big part on the conquering and maintaining dominance of the indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere prior to the Europeans coming.
Then you have to me, you have a whole problem with walking with Christ. Because the whole meaning of walking with Christ is giving away. You give yourself away.
Yeah.
You lay down your life. Mm-hmm. You deny yourself. It ain't nothing about you. It's not about your color, your creed, anything like that. So if these people, so-called Christians, have a problem with this, then if you have a problem with something that's, I would say, practical, how much more you're going to have problem with the spiritual aspect of laying down your life and giving it to God.
Yeah,
I think that's the bigger problem there. If they have an issue with it, when I come to the faith through the grace of God, right, and God drew me, and now I'm a believer. It ain't about nothing of what I think or what I thought of what I prefer. Because if that was the case, I would be doing tons of different things than I'm doing right now.
And the Bible specifies, like we talked about last week, no graven images.
Yeah, yeah.
So what you sweating a idol image of some white European Jesus?
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you sweating even that? That's a sin in
idolatry
itself.
within itself. Yeah. So I mean, for them to be appalled, I would say there's a problem with your walk with God.
Oh yeah.
Well, let me say this though. What if they're Catholics?
I'm gonna go on the limb with that one too.
Right, because no, we got to think about it. You walk in any Catholic church, what do you have? You have stories on the walls and the stained glass windows, and we were talking about this before the discussion. The Roman Catholic Church ruled for over 1,000 years, man. I mean, plus.
I grew up a Roman Catholic in a dominant Roman Catholic society. Big up Sile Street. Catholics, priests and nuns walking all over the place. In every Puerto Rican household, you had statues of Mary, candles. Ever since I was a little kid, I used to stare into this velvet painting of the white, blonde hair, blue-eyed Jesus with his heart touching his heart, and it had the thorns around his heart.
Yeah,
dude, every
Puerto Rican home had
I used to stare at that picture for
like
hours.
You weren't Puerto Rican if you ain't have
praying to the white Jesus, dude. I ain't find out Jesus was a person of color till I was like 30-something, dude.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I'm 47.
Well, you
crazy.
make an interesting point there, right? So, and this is where I think Sean King says that this has been a symbol of oppression for natives, for enslaved blacks, for people who have been under the power of, let's say, just European power, and it's become part of the psyche, right? What do you guys think about that?
Well, I can see where it has become part of that, and how the whole upbringing and the whole process of you constantly seeing this image would play mind tricks with you.
Absolutely.
I can see that, but also the power of God. Whenever, and me coming into the faith, and me also growing up Catholic, and even worse, growing up Santeria. My mom was into Santeria. Mm-hmm. So you talking about statues?
Idol worship. Yeah.
We had 1 million statues in the basement. Yeah. Okay, it was every statue. So when the whole concept of God and Christ, even though those graven images were around me, I seen past it for some reason. I knew it was bigger than a color of that statue or the color of that picture.
Yeah.
For some reason, now through the grace of God, I could give a credit God to that. But that picture of God and that blue-eyed blind Jesus, I never seen the blue-eyed, and I seen no color because my thing was he's God.
Yeah, yeah.
It was bigger than a human being. He was transcended through all that.
Than color.
Exactly.
See, as a Catholic, as a little kid, remember I was an altar boy, first communion, the whole nine. Oh man, we used to hang out at the church.
Yeah.
Real cool with the priests and the nuns. Honest to God, I could truthfully say this, looking back at it, that I looked at white people in a higher
esteem
because all the disciples and Jesus was white. Honest to God, and I used to think to myself, darn, why were they white? Why couldn't they have been Puerto Rican? You know what I'm saying? Honest to God. So it had an effect. So you imagine the effect they had on the people they conquered.
Exactly.
And then they forced Catholicism onto them and said, yo, this is Jesus. Jesus looked like us.
And,
you know what I'm saying?
And was that intentional?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I think without a doubt, you
By
find
design,
find the Puritans, you find even Jonathan Edwards advocating for slavery,
exactly.
and Jonathan Edwards was one of the most prolific preachers who brought revival. God used him for revival, but I think without a doubt, our history and its Christianity has, I think without a doubt, on some levels, used white Jesus to keep black people enslaved, or at least keep them under the mindset that this God, that is the God of everybody, is white.
Superiority.
Yeah.
Yo,
I definitely agree with that.
Check this fact out. Washington Times, right? In the Washington Post. It's in the Washington Post. Article called How an Iconic Painting of Jesus as a White Man Was Distributed Around the World. That picture that I'm talking about, that every Puerto Rican know about, you know that picture I'm talking about, I just described, right? The white Jesus, blue eyes, blonde eyes with the heart and the thorns around it, and it's everywhere, right?
Okay.
Especially in Puerto Rican communities, Catholic communities.
Yeah.
It was painted by a guy named Warner E. Salmon, and has been printed and duplicated over 1 billion times ever since.
Wow. And this was what year?
The year is that it happened. Try here.
Is that the 40s or the 50s?
Like 50s. I'll get it. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So that's
crazy?
art though, right there, right?
Yeah.
That's art. So this brings up a question right here. How much? Okay, let me back it up real quick before I get into the art. Are people just mad? White Christians, so-called Christians, just mad because of what's going on today? Let's say if Shaun King wasn't the messenger, and he already has a background. What if it came from somebody who was more accepted? How do you think the community would receive?
Well, I think that it's double folded. Okay, it's two-folded. I think that since the country is in the state that it's in, that bringing that up now, maybe they're like, okay, we know it needs to be addressed, but now is not the best time because the scrutiny and all the racism that's going on now. Maybe that's some of it. And listen, I can agree that we need to get past color somehow. Let's let that be clear. Okay, this is not a white, this is not a black world. This is we need to, especially as Christians, we need to see past to the soul of the person. Okay. And that's what God deals with. Yeah, that's what God deals with. All the flesh God ain't dealing with. He's dealing with your spirit, man, at the end of the day. So we need to get there. But how do we get there? I believe this is the process that we're trying to get there through. So I think that's a little bit of it. That okay, now also that is coming from the person that you had described being so he's abrasive,
but he's standing for social justice. Yeah,
but like you said, he could have probably been a little more delicate with it. But since he's so abrasive, I think that also probably riled up some,
Yeah, without
people.
a doubt.
1940, fellas.
So 1940.
Yes.
So, okay, then now this brings me back to the art aspect. How much of art, even if it's a white Jesus, is legitimate? Like, in other words, okay, let's say a man paints Jesus. This man painted Jesus, long hair, fair skin, blue eyes. And he painted Jesus, but was it for art or was it because he wanted to worship Christ?
Listen, I think that's why we should stick to what God says is no bear, no image of me.
Yeah.
You see, God knows ahead of time of what need to be done.
Okay.
And when we veer from that, we always veer into sin, which always is the problem of man.
Kurt, you want to jump in here on this?
I was trying to sit back, man. Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts, man. A lot of thoughts. I think we have to be careful not to obviously make the faith about color.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I agree with your last statement. I believe that's why part of the reason why he said, "Don't make a graven image of me." You know what I'm saying? Because we don't know what we don't know what he looks like. You know what I'm saying? As far as God, you know what I'm saying? Now there are some people who saw Christ walk in the earth, but those people are not here.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, and we do have a brief description of what he kind of looked like. You know what I mean? In the text, but there's not a clear picture that is displayed for us. So,
Which I think is on purpose.
Well, yeah, that's yeah.
Outside of Isaiah 52, I believe, talks about that his visage in his sacrifice was not recognizable. No man could recognize him as he was suffering. Okay. But then in his glorified state in the book of Revelation, I think it's even beyond what we can describe. Right. So I think there's definitely the scripture is very silent on the image of Christ based on the second commandment, make no graven image. But let me push back here. And this I had pushed back against you, Curtis, in our discussion a while ago. Is there room for art and imagination at all in this discussion? So let's say someone just wants to let's say they're not even, there's no racial issue. Yeah. They just want to paint who they think Jesus is.
I think it's an issue because in the Bible it tells you specifically not to.
But you're just painting. You're not make no graven image, but that's part of the worship aspect of it. Because when you look at the tabernacle, you look at the temple, inside there you had graven images, not specifically about God, but you had different things you had cherubim that were on the Ark of the Covenant. And so my point is there any room for that?
Well, I think that, in that regard, that was God directed.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I think we have to make a distinction about that.
Yep.
This is just a big difference, you know what I mean? However, I think there is room to express emotion of what Christ means to you.
Okay.
But I think that it's important then for you to define that that's what you're doing.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's important, that you have to define, this is just me expressing, how I feel about what Christ has done for me. And I only express his color being, I don't think you have to go as far as expressing the color, but if you decide to paint, I think you just have to define why you're doing it. Not just that I'm painting a portrait of Christ and then you're leaving it up to whoever sees it to interpret why did you do that?
Okay.
Exactly. It shouldn't be at no church.
No, definitely
being
not.
worshipped.
No,
or any church to give the idea that
this is the image.
This is the image of Christ.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know what's funny is that when I was at School of the Arts, I took up drawing and painting as my major, and I did this one art piece, man. It was Christ on the cross, but there was no face. The neck kind of, it was almost like as if it melted into the cross and I did the same thing with the arms and the hands and the feet. It was like it was infused into the cross. So there was no physical image as far as like what his face looked like and all the stuff here, but all you seen was just a body on the cross, and you seen the blood and the nails.
So you were politically correct way back then.
That's before the term came out. That was the whole point of that whole description.
It was, and it's funny because I had showed it to a couple people, and bro, they were like, "Yo, this is the most powerful image of Christ I've ever seen." You know what I'm saying? Because it was like, because they would always ask like, "Why did you? Where's his face?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know what he looked like." And as a kid, that was powerful, man. To other people, they're like, "Dang, you know what?"
Yeah, don't know what he looked like, but I know what he did.
Yeah, I know what exactly. And so that was my expression.
Yeah. And then they said, "That's why you're teaching this class, right, sir?" Because you dressed up like a teacher and you look like a teacher. Listen up. No, but listen, is there any scripture that maybe they're confusing that gives them the impression that this is the image of Christ? Because you got, listen, I looked up a couple of scriptures that kind of give descriptions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, you have the one that I believe that you had spoke about, the Revelation chapter 1 verse 15, and that is, and his feet like unto fine brass. Oh, that was Kurt, I believe, on a couple episodes ago.
Firm brass, yes.
Firm brass, and if they were burned in the furnace. Okay, so that was one description. But there's another description in I want to say, let's say in Daniel, okay, that says that I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow.
So there's a contrast there.
Maybe they taking that out of context right there. His garment though was, and I don't know if other translations say something different than his garment. Maybe his hair. You know what I mean? We don't know. We have to do the research on that. So his garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. Okay. So what does that mean?
Well, I think this is the glorified.
That's Revelation, right?
Well, that's Daniel. That's Daniel.
Daniel.
Okay.
So that's the pre-incarnate Christ.
Revelation was the first one I read.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Revelation was the first. But go ahead.
Again, garment is just that's your clothing.
That's the clothing.
That's
it's
not
clear. That's what I'm saying here. Now, are there other? We would have to do the research. Are there other Bible versions that say his hair was pure like wool? You know what I mean? Sometimes we gotta do the research on that.
Also, how about people? Ethnicities are just. That's the way they relate to Jesus. If I'm
that's my point.
Puerto Rican, then he gonna look like a
Yeah.
Puerto Rican Jesus. If I'm black, then I'm gonna put a black Jesus. If I'm white, I'm gonna put a white Jesus.
And that's what I mean. So when you come back to the art issue, right?
Right.
And I think we all agree, any painting of Jesus,
It's not
probably
accurate.
it shouldn't. It's not going to be accurate of that person. But it should even be questioned why we painting this Jesus, right? Because we got to be careful that it don't become an image that we start worshiping.
Right.
Nevertheless, though, just like Kurt painted something and there was no face there. Some people in their minds they just have an imagination and they paint something.
Okay.
So.
But America has no room. America is a slippery slope with
because of our history.
Because of our history,
I understand that. So that's where the tension is today because of this. But at some point, where do we draw the line where we say, this is art and this wasn't used for oppression?
But it was though.
Well, I'm talking about if you have specific paintings, specific sculptures,
like the Last Supper, right?
Like the Last Supper
was everybody
nature.
knew that was just a picture from art.
So
right?
my point is, where do you draw the line? Because Sean Keane is like, destroy everything. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
and I can see people being offended by that.
Right. So does he mean every white Jesus, even on private property and private churches?
He was like,
or does he just
all of
mean
it, bro.
On governmental
No,
property?
he was saying every white Jesus.
So
So that's my
can't do
point.
that.
And I think there's a freedom of expression that you have to allow people. Listen, even if we don't agree with them,
right.
at the same time, at least in this day and age. So, for example, if I go paint a white Jesus right now, do I got to tear that down because our history says white Jesus was oppressive.
That's infringing on your freedom. Right?
That's my
It's very
point.
communistic to do that.
I seen this is a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope, but also in order to get the slope, not as slippery, right? To define, I think the evangelical church needs to speak more about the truth of the Bible, meaning the truth of where he derived from, the lineage of where he came from, and most likely these scriptures that we pulled out, his color would have been. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think if they're vocal on that, the thing is they're silent about that, and I think that's the problem. Yeah. See, they don't talk about that. And when it brings up, they always that doesn't matter. It's bigger than that. Hold up. Then if it doesn't matter, then let's talk about it.
Yeah.
If it's not a big deal, let's talk about this little deal here that we have, and then we can move forward. Right. The problem is when every time it's brought up to a white evangelical church, well, Christ is bigger. Okay, if then Christ is bigger than that, let's just get that out the way. Let's just get this part out the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think if that stance was taken more, then it would probably be less friction.
Right. Let's find out where did that originate? The first depictions of Jesus Christ as a white person. I think that was after Constantine, right? Made the Roman Empire, the Holy Roman Empire. He had his mother also was a Christian, Saint Teresa. She was sainted by the Catholic Church. Saint Teresa and Constantine. And once he made that the religion of the empire, that's when that white picture of white Jesus started coming up. Now, prior to that, right? That was like the year 300 around there, right?
Yeah, it was 325, right? I believe.
Prior to that, it was not cool to be a Christian. If you was Christian, you was going to get imprisoned, killed, martyred.
Yes.
So it was very unpopular to be a Christian.
Not only that, those pictures.
There was Christians out there, they used to be happy if they got caught and put into the Coliseum to kill by the lions. They were like, oh.
And there's pictures of the apostles and the pictures of them of colored back then prior to that.
Right. So the oldest picture of Jesus Christ is a picture found. Oh darn! There you go. It was like 200 AD, right? Yeah. And that picture has no color. It's like a stick figure of him healing a paralyzed person. That's like the first oldest picture they have of Jesus Christ, and that one has no color. So you have to remember the Romans ruled the world, and they get to rewrite history, right? Because to the victor goes the spoils. So, and I think that's what they did. They rewrote history and be like, hey, look, we killed Jesus, right? And we killed all the people who followed Jesus. It was this big, humongous movement in the Middle East, right? And after 300 years, it spread so rapidly that they finally gave in so that they could maintain the empire, right? And then they fused all these other pagan religions into it, right? So, in doing that, they were like, well, we're the winners. We want to make God look like us and his disciples look like us. I think that's where it originated.
Well, but wouldn't that just be natural, though? I mean, think about it. Human tendency is, if we're fair-skinned, white
natural
people.
sin. That's what that is.
What I'm just saying, hold up. If I live in Puerto Rico, my image of something is going to be through the lens of my culture.
No. Let's look at this.
Go ahead.
Let's look at the opposite spectrum. Let's look at the demonic spectrum.
Yeah, okay, I hear what you're saying.
If there's order in the demonic spectrum, there should be order in the Christian spectrum. Okay. When you go into certain botanicas, certain colors are certain saints, and they stick to that script. They don't. You're not going to see.
Okay, when you go to the botanicas, guess who was their influence?
The
Roman Catholic Church.
That's my point. So my point is that you will never catch in the botanica, say, whatever this saint is supposed to be, just my imagination of what color he's going to be.
But see, my point, and I'm trying to make is by human tendency would be if this is now the religion of the Roman Empire and we are pagans as a whole, and, now you're teaching me about this Jesus, the natural tendency is to make up a Jesus that looks like me. That's my point. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm not talking about it coming over from Europe into America and using it for slavery. My point is just that natural human tendency is to depict a Jesus that looks white.
Right.
that looks like me because my country is
Do they
white.
do that with Buddha?
But is that justification?
Yeah, do they do that with Buddha?
Because the Roman Empire
Well,
knew.
Buddha is so when you're talking about Buddha, you're talking about in India. So that's mostly where you'll find Buddhism, and also in China.
But didn't the Roman Empire know that Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, was a Jew who lived in Palestine?
Yes, they should have
So
known
300
that.
years
So,
later, they know this, so they know the color of Jesus.
without a doubt. But still, we're talking about human
Right.
characteristics,
Okay.
right? And not every person. I don't believe every Roman Catholic or Roman person was
don't
a
believe
Christian.
it. I know. I believe
Right?
it was.
So-
I think that
so
was
you
intentional.
Exactly.
Oh, it was
of course, it
intentional.
was
Yeah,
intentional.
and
But
you're
it's
saying
because
it's natural.
It's because of the Caesar, who was Constantine. He has the authority to do that.
Yes.
That's the way they work.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he didn't have an encounter with Christ. It's just the way it worked. And my point is just human tendency amongst a people in that.
I would
group
say
would
wicked
do that.
human tendency, though.
Well, yeah, without a doubt,
That's
because
what
they
I
were
would say.
pagans
I
at
agree
that
with
time.
you. Yeah, the wicked.
So many were pagans at that time.
And they used the Roman Catholic Empire. They used the power of God and the Bible.
Well, not only
to
that,
oppress.
they were highly pluralistic, and meaning this that they worship many different gods.
the
So
other
this
thing. Yeah,
Jesus
exactly.
coming in is just this is another god.
Yeah, and they committed many atrocities
Yeah.
in the name of God.
Of course.
Yeah. So they didn't care about being,
Accurate.
accurate at all.
Probably
And I
not.
think they used it as a tactic to maintain dominance and conquer.
Without a doubt, I think
Absolutely.
especially as they started dealing in the African country and the African slave trade.
Yeah.
and definitely coming over into America as well.
But definitely, we need to get we definitely need to deal with it. We need to talk about it. Churches need to be vocal about it. But then we need to get over it. We need to get over that. Listen, because and then you got a bunch of different cults that derive off of this whole concept of, and build different religions off of something that, like we said, that's clear as cut in the Bible, but it shouldn't be divisive.
Gotcha. Good point, Don. Good point. Check it out. Just Jammer. We're trending on the streets, where we let you know what's going on in the world, on the streets, in your town, in the county, wherever. First things first, congratulations. Patrick Mahomes, 10-year, $450 million contract. Oh my God. Job well done. Won the Super Bowl, got the chip.
He's a beast.
And he
Listen,
getting paid.
He's a beast, but he's a young Russell Wilson.
Right. Dawn is angry that he
Yes,
got a bigger contract than Russell Wilson.
Because he's a young Russell Wilson. That's all he is.
Right.
With a better offensive line.
Right.
Russell Wilson never had an offensive line his whole career. So come on, bro.
True.
Come on.
The hatred.
And he also
It's not hatred. It's facts.
The hatred.
It's facts.
And that is facts. And he also, Patrick Mahomes, did not choke in the Super Bowl and shoot
Didn't choke. That was the head coach decision.
They
Hey,
didn't have to throw it.
But he the quarterback, man. He's supposed,
You
he's
can't go
supposed to call
against.
the
You can't
audible.
go. Listen. You can't go against the grain,
Yo,
Why
that was a
not?
great defensive play by Butler. I don't care what anybody say.
bro. It was
Wow.
whack. So go ahead.
That was crazy.
We're not
Another
talking
thing-
about that. Trending on the streets. Let's go.
Another
Let's
thing
go.
trending on the streets. A couple days ago, white lady and her husband pulls out a gun on a black mom and her 14-year-old kid. She claims, the black mom claims the white lady bumped into her daughter inside of a Chipotle's. They came out, had words. Shorty pulled out. It's all over the news. They trying to make it racial. It really wasn't. I don't think anyway, but it's kind of crazy. What y'all think about that, man?
I think that listen, it was a bunch of if she did get bumped into, they could have did it as adults. Forget the color. The color got nothing to do with it. You gotta learn how to talk like an adult. You know what I'm saying? And there was a time in that argument that it could have been diffused.
Yeah,
The
listen.
white woman was trying to say, "Listen, I'm not racist.
White or
I
black,
care. I
either
care
way."
about you." That was a moment of diffuse. That was a
Yeah.
moment if they could have come together. But I guess they wasn't trying to hear it. So listen. Listen, we need to be mature adults about things too now. We can't just throw that out the water
Listen,
either.
a soft answer turns away wrath.
Amen.
That's all to it, man.
Amen.
You know, hey, listen, a
Amen.
quick apology. I apologize. I'm sorry for bumping into you, or you know what? Listen, this is bygones be bygones. Let's not stress it. Mom, let's keep going.
Exactly.
The reality is, I think what it is that the tension in our country is exacerbating these kind of events.
Exactly.
The fear mongering, the constant looking for these kind of events that are going on, and people are just eating it up. Social media, regular news,
Exactly.
and it's causing people to be angry, man.
It is. You got another one?
Rest in peace to Charlie Daniels, man. Famous country singer. just passed away, man. I like a couple of his songs, man. That's all I got for you, big dog.
Listen, what about the beheading of the statue here?
Frederick Douglass.
The Frederick Douglass.
Yeah, they removed him off his base. I think a couple of his fingers broke, and
they took his head, and they took his head off. Yeah,
was that Sunday?
Yeah,
when he
Sunday.
delivered that speech.
Yeah.
About
no, it was Saturday.
It was Sunday. Sunday they found it, so they must have did it Saturday on the 4th of July when he delivered that.
That's
great
here
speech.
in upstate New York. So
that's Rochester, New York.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was an anti-black thing.
Yeah, yes.
Wow.
Because
That's
Frederick Douglass did a speech about independence, and he's like, "That's your independence, not
Right. That doesn't belong to the slave.
They don't belong to the slave." It's like a world-renowned speech that they have kids quoting. And
however,
things of
though,
that nature.
you got to understand though that still in the Declaration of Independence, still this is what's crazy about Frederick Douglass is that where it talks about that all men are equal, he still believed that, right? But this declaration of all of us celebrating that he pushed back against it, especially because of what he was battling at the time.
Exactly. Still, and that we're still battling it now.
Yeah.
So he was definitely futuristic with that one, and I don't use that in the cipher terms. He was definitely futuristic on that, but again, so that's to show you. Look what it's creating, like you said.
Yeah.
You know that wasn't done by people of color. You know what I mean? That's had to been done by someone that again feels attacked.
Unless it was Jesse Smollett, you know what I mean? But
Right? Wow.
yeah,
But it's causing that tension. It's causing that tension, which I hate. Which I hate because
okay. So this is interesting because right now you say I hate this tension. I mean, really, how do we feel as believers in Christ with this tension right now?
I'm trying to spread the love more because of this tension. Because again, being Hispanic, okay, being Puerto Rican especially, okay, there's some of us that we glamorize our Afro-Rican in us. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we're very vocal about that. But then they're not vocal about the European part that's in them too that they can't deny. Mm-hmm. Okay? But then you have some that are vocal about their European blood in them. And then you have some that's vocal about their Native American blood in them. But we're the picture of equality.
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? We're the picture of equality. We have everything running through. That's why you'll see a white Puerto Rican with blue eyes. You see a black Puerto Rican with coarse hair. You'll see a fly Chinese looking little, with light skin, looking like me a little bit. Oh, my bad. My bad. But you know what I'm saying. So you'll see more Native Americans, look. But and then you have Jam of the Arabian Prince looking Puerto Rican. But we come in many facets. We come in many facets, and then so it's hard growing up. Me myself, particular. I've been, I have to have love because I got cousins that look white.
Yeah.
I got cousins that look black.
Yes.
I got cousins so it was hard for me to be racist because I got a blonde hair, blue-eyed cousin.
Right.
You know what I mean? That he come and they think he white. And I got to stick up for him sometimes if we in the black neighborhood. Nah, man, he ain't man, Puerto Rican. What you talking about? Look, talk Spanish. You know what I mean? But and then I got a black cousin, dark-skinned cousin that look like a black dude with the waves and everything. And we go into a white neighborhood. Nah, that's my cousin. We good. So it's like we couldn't be, right? I mean,
no, that would be self-hate.
Exactly.
Any Puerto Rican, and I know a couple Puerto Ricans like that they're on the black side of things, and I know a couple Puerto Ricans that's on the white side of things. And I'm related to both. Right? Mm-hmm. I got cousins that's born and raised in the suburbs, and they be like, man, ain't no black in us. We straight Spaniard and Indian. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, that's self-hate, bro.
That's
Look
self-hate.
You brown skin, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
But that's a form of racism.
Yes, and then you got
exactly.
black Ricans or just regular brown skin Puerto Ricans that they hate white. Yeah, they
deny
ain't
European
no white in
blood.
us. Ain't no white in us. We black. Puerto Ricans is black.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, Puerto Ricans are black, but they're also Taino and Spaniards. You don't say the other two, and you just
so then you got racism on the other side.
So I want us to get to a point that, listen, we got to get past, especially when us as Christians, we got to be on the forefront speaking about the souls of men and women, okay, and children, okay? But I think we do that by acknowledging what's been going on in the country. And that's what we're doing, and I'm glad we're dialoguing about that. Yeah. We acknowledge this, and we say, okay, but the change is here now. God cares about all of us. Amen or no? He cares
Of
about
course.
He
All
said,
lives matter
he said,
before
shall
God.
None, right?
Plain
He
and
wished that
simple.
none would perish.
Yeah, that's
right?
right.
None would perish. That means nobody. Okay? And it's bigger than that. You know what I mean? And it's bigger than that. But we've been so stuck in this color thing, which is more of a Western thing when you get prejudiced or you get racist with the whole color thing.
I don't know.
You think
that's the thing.
You think it traveled to the east?
America's the least racist country in the world, man. You go to Europe, like if I was black, I heard this, I read this. Racism towards blacks in Europe, I've heard is way worse than here in America.
I don't
But
know.
what is the population?
I don't know
like
about
over
that.
there?
I don't know about that.
And that's the South, not including the South.
Well,
right?
I
'Cause
would
the
say
South
this
is, like, in the
that
face racist.
America we were the first to, historically speaking,
abolish slavery.
to fight for the abolition of slavery. Like we were the first nation outside of other countries. They were still riding the wave of slavery.
Okay.
But we were one of the first nations.
Britain was first, and then America.
But this is the thing though. Interesting when you look at the history of America, obviously this ugly. But is there a movement for positivity when it comes to racial relations? And I would say to a degree, yes. Is it perfect now? No. Without a doubt it's not perfect. But it's not the same 50, 60 years ago.
No.
Not completely. I mean, there are people that are successful that are black.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have been like this 50, 60,
I got to push
100
back on
years
that
ago.
because there's always been successful black
With the
people.
Black Wall Street. And all.
Even during slavery. Even during slavery,
Yeah, even
bro.
during slavery.
Well, you have black slave owners too, without a doubt. So
No, I'm saying
but-
that there were black people that were successful.
Extremely
Yes,
successful.
Even during slavery, the ones
And during
especially during
segregation.
during the North. So that argument that now things are a lot better for blacks. Well, yeah, it's a lot better for
I didn't say
more
it's a
blacks.
lot better, but I say that the position that black people have today is do they have to work harder? Minorities have to work harder, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But the opportunities are greater than
absolutely,
ever
yes.
before.
Yes, yes.
Now, when you look at the Democratic Party and what they've done to inner cities, that's a whole different story. That's a whole another topic right there, where they've kept minorities enslaved in lack of education,
That's a con
lack
thing
of
that they're
economics, and that's what we see today.
Absolutely.
But the argument, I think, for and I don't want to make this political, but who is the enemy today? Isn't it not Republicans? Now, don't get me wrong. I don't care about politics, and I know Kurt's not there either.
Well, that's the enemy that we've been told to be, like, Republicans are the enemy of brown and black people.
So, and that's my
And
point.
which is not really always the case, I would say.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
no.
So, and Republicans want less government.
Yes.
Right. I think that's the position Republicans hold. But Democrats want more government, and we want to make sure we hold your hand kind of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That's a detriment to any minority or anybody that's impoverished. White people too.
But that's not give the Republicans a free pass too. They're only for the rich.
Yes.
See that?
So because they want that money, they want that guap.
Yeah,
And I understand that.
So both parties are buns,
They
but
got
the
the
Democratic
issue.
Party is playing a big issue in holding us down. Absolutely.
So that's so now when you look at coming back full circle here, because of the tension that we dealing with today, how much of it is because of the president's, the election for this year? How accurate is that? And I'm jump on
Isn't
this.
that every election? I mean, Kurt, you notice the trends? Kurt's good at patterns. I'm good at patterns.
Mm-hmm.
A year before every election for president, racism is the main thing.
It's true. And
That's,
it's highlighted.
that's what the Democratic
and
Party
the news
run
is
on.
always highlighting
That's
it.
what they run on.
Yeah. News is always highlighting
You
it.
guys are being oppressed, and you need to vote for us so we can get you out of oppression.
Yep.
And then nothing happens.
And nothing happens, big dog.
And that's why this last election, it kind of backfired on them, because I think the black community just got tired of it. And a lot of us, well, I've been thinking like this, but I think a lot of other black people have finally woken up to realize, like, wait a minute, the Democratic Party really ain't for us, man. Like, they really don't care for us like they say they do.
Yeah, they piggyback on your movement.
Oh, bro.
To push the LGBT movement, transgender movement, abortion movement, neo-feminist movement. They piggyback on the black movement.
They piggyback
You know what I'm saying?
any movement that's a movement.
Well, you see it now, even in the Black Lives Matter agenda.
Exactly, yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
The political agenda.
I'm about the statement, but as far as the organization,
Yes.
nah, they whack.
There you
Bro.
go.
Yeah, that's
They
what I'm
whack,
saying.
bro.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
agenda. Listen, anybody from the Black Lives Matter, I'm letting you know you whack, bro. You whack. Your agenda is whack. It is not for black people.
It
Okay?
ain't for the black
It's-
man.
It's not.
It's
Not at all.
even in their
Not
mission statement.
Really?
They excluded black
Whack.
man out of there. You saw that when I posted it on Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah,
it's
hypocrites, bro.
Oh, they are against the nuclear family, which is man, woman, child. They stated.
That's crazy.
They
man.
stated they're for they're for
That's what I'm saying. The
transsexual
statement.
gender.
I'm glad. And I like the way you articulated that. The statement. Yes, we're for.
Yes, I'm
and
for
that's
the
what we was
statement.
talking about on our first segment. Was that the statement, but the whole political movement behind
movement?
it?
Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Buns.
no.
Man, that's
Yeah, theology in the streets. We don't bump
with you.
We ain't with it. We ain't with it.
but this is the thing though. So I think because it's a political year, it is exacerbating the
Oh, yeah,
tensions
absolutely. Without
like
a
never
doubt.
before. Like, Gemma, do you have any stats on actually the police brutality that's going on? I mean, we know police over police minorities. We know that for a fact. But are there any? What are the numbers as far as how many black people actually die at the hands of police?
Oh, not that many, man. It's like I think the most has been in 2016. It was over 100 unarmed black people killed by police officers.
I mean, that's still a lot, no matter what.
That's still
but-
a lot, but that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
and I
not
understand
what this
that.
movement is about.
Nah, that's my point. So because that's what they running on, though.
Right.
They're running on that.
Running on
They're
that.
acting like it's thousands, tens of
Yeah.
thousands of black
If you
people
listen,
per year.
yeah, and this is the thing because people are just they're just lazy to do research, right? Let's be honest. We're humans. Our tendency. This is the sin nature in us is to just consume. Right, we consume, and because I read it, it's there. I believe it, kind of my mindset. That's what social media has done today for many people, and they run with it. They run with that wave, man.
Yeah.
And right now, a lot of his wave, and I think there's some, without a doubt, there's some truth in the over policing and some of the brutality. Without a doubt,
That's the real movement. That's the real movement.
Yeah.
But at the same time, where is the opportunities for discussion? Where's the opportunities for dialogue? Because this is what you're talking about, Don. Where's the opportunities for dialogue? Because in this culture today, it's either you pick a side or you cancel.
Exactly. And
you
you
only
can't
get
even
two
dialogue.
sides. It's always an ultimatum, right? You can't be for both.
You can't be
you
for.
can't.
I hate that. You can't
can't.
control the narrative. like that.
And this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
this is
exactly.
the problem that we see even in the church, man.
Come on.
It's hitting the church where now you got pastors, you've got leaders within the church, you got just members of the church. Man, now we're starting to separate on principles of political party.
No,
Like
that's terrible.
That to me is
That's terrible.
I get very upset anytime I hear somebody talk about your political view in church. Bro, keep that mess outside of the house of worship. I don't want to hear that. I don't care if you like this person or you feel that, because my thing is this, man. The problem that we have sometimes as believers is we, again, this goes back to us in America. We have bought the sauce, man. We are drunk on the wine because we're so involved in the world system. America is
Which is
the world
not God's.
system, bro.
Which
This
is
is
not
not of
God.
God.
This is not
This
God.
is the world.
We got to get that clear.
And this is the problem. We have become a friend to the world. Now, Scripture calls you out for that.
It does.
It says that if you are a friend to the world, then you are not of God.
That's right.
So that's why I draw
Enemy
the
of
line,
God.
man. I'm very.
You have to draw the line. We have
You
to.
have to, man.
You
And I
have
know
to.
it offends some people because they're like, "Yo, wait a minute, nah, bro. This is about spiritual. The Bible teaches us that we
spiritual.
wrestle not against flesh and blood,
Yes.
All
but against
spiritual.
principalities, spiritual wickedness. And
Powers.
Yes.
bro, this is deeper than just the man that you see before you. So when we talk about these things that's going on, man, the church is silent on the fact that this is spiritual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There ain't no policy you're going to be able to write, develop to change a man's heart.
Exactly.
Never.
That was revealed in the law. The law revealed that you cannot change the man's heart through policy,
Exactly.
but it's only through the power of the Holy Spirit
Come on.
Exactly.
that a man's heart can be changed from stone to flesh.
Exactly.
So
And the church
this
is silent on us being
and
spiritual beings
Exactly, that's what
in
I'm saying.
general.
So we keep championing these, so now I'm supposed to pick the lesser of two evils, man, get out of here with that.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. As a Christian, I don't vote.
Yes.
That's just my stance. I ain't got nothing to do with being black, white, none of that. I don't vote because you're not going to convince me that I have to choose the lesser of two evils.
He is politically homeless.
Hey, I have no
Amen.
problem.
Amen.
And listen, and I'm not saying that if you're a Christian and you vote that you going to hell. Listen, you vote. That's your choice. That's your right to do so.
Exactly.
I choose not to because I just don't believe that I have to choose the lesser of two evils, and I'm not going to champion the lesser of two evils as if they're the more Christian-like candidate.
Exactly.
Are you
And I
serious?
think we do.
Yeah, that's foolishness right
And
there.
I think
yeah.
we do a disservice as believers and as the church as if we call out the world system to be evil.
Yeah.
And the Bible says Satan is the prince of this world, which means the system,
Yep.
right?
World system,
The
yeah.
world system.
Yep.
How are we gonna champion the world system?
Because we profit from it, bro.
Well,
We profit
yeah.
off of it.
Well, we consume it. That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. So so us as Christians always have to draw the line in the sand. And I think that we don't teach about that enough. We don't preach about that enough. We don't communicate about that enough to the body, so that, you know what I mean? These all these things that are happening, like the guy that who they disagreed on about burning all the blue eyes and white
Sean
blind hair.
Kidd. Yeah.
There wouldn't be an uproar because truth would be taught.
Exactly. But that's my and this is the thing, as Curtis is already alluding to, we're consumers.
Exactly.
We're as he's saying, we're consuming what the world is saying.
Exactly.
Whether it be media, through social media, Twitter, Facebook, we just taking it in. And what happens is emotionally we're moved.
Exactly.
But we're not moved spiritually speaking, as Curtis talking
You know
about.
what Robbie
because of
Zacharias
scripture.
said? Robbie Zacharias said we're dealing with a generation that we think with our eyes. He said we think with our eyes, and we what he said, we think with our eyes. And
I think I've heard that quote.
You heard that quote that he said? Yeah, he said we think with our eyes. So basically, you know what I mean? What we're seeing
Yes.
is what's predetermining
Yes.
our move by it. We're moved by it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? When it should be more than that, more than what you see that meets the eye. You know what I mean? Yeah. But he said a quote that I probably butchered, but it was phenomenal.
You did butcher it.
Thank you.
You had me in suspense. Like, what did Robbie say?
See, that's my delivery right there. I didn't lose that. I didn't
Rest
lose
in
my
peace,
delivery.
Robbie.
Yeah, Robbie.
Rest in peace,
Robbie
brother.
Zachariah, yeah.
All right,
Man,
so
glory.
as Christians,
Yeah.
don't vote.
No, I'm not saying that you.
But I'm saying, I mean, you got
don't.
you
That's
got two
just my
political
stance.
parties, right? And like Kurt said, what am I supposed to pick the lesser of the two evils? Because they both are evil, absolutely,
Yes.
right? And as a Christian, we ain't supposed to be of the world, but as a Christian, aren't you supposed to use your influence to maybe slow down the demonization of our society?
Interesting. Yeah,
You know what I'm
that's
saying? So as a Christian, I'm like, I'm going to go vote, because if I don't go vote, they're going to make abortion even more more
Yeah.
easier to do.
See, what
they're going to put LGBTQ ideology in the 3rd, 4th grade to my little sons and daughters. I mean, they're going to be pushing this transgender thing, letting my kids know, yo, you could be a boy or a girl. Your sex is not determined by your biology. You know, it's how you feel. I mean, aren't these things as a Christian supposed to be like, whoa, I'm going to go vote because I don't want that to happen.
you make a good point. What
You
do
know
you
what I'm
think,
saying?
Kurt?
Listen, I think that when it comes to voting is, I'm gonna be honest. I think that's up to the person, man. Just, I don't think that you know, because again, the world is going to go the way it goes, man.
Yes.
Whether you vote that way or not, bro,
True.
they gonna do what they want to do.
Yes.
And
Let's keep it
scripture,
real.
too, yeah.
We can vote whoever we want into office, but we all know the president don't run this country.
Right.
It's the people with the money.
That's right.
The people with the money. And if they don't want it to happen, it ain't gonna happen, bro.
That's right.
It ain't gonna happen.
And you know, sad to say that we want to believe. Again, we bought the sauce, like you said, man. We drinking the wine. We want to believe that, and we go out and do these things. But that's when the Christian should be able to disattach himself and understand that biblically things are going to happen.
Yeah.
And we need to stand firm on explaining that to our younger generation, Doesn't mean that you lay down. Yeah, if they want to vote, feel free to vote on your Christian principles and things of that nature. But understand the signs of the times.
Right. So basically, who are we to stop what God already prophesied is going to happen? Because it's happening before our eyes.
Well, no, I think sometimes we fight against God and what's happening. But at the same time, you see the church, I think, falling away. The influence of the church today in America is not there. Across this world. I mean, Christ is still saving people without a doubt, but the influence and the authority and the power that it once had in the nation, in its communities, in the people's lives is not there anymore. And that's part of the falling away of the church.
And that's exactly. Yep.
Even the message is changing. The liberalization of
without
the
a doubt.
church.
Oh, yes.
Changing the message, dude.
And that affects the community as well. So if the message is watered down or all inclusive to everybody,
universal,
right?
It's
universal,
very politically correct.
Yeah. So then you don't draw no lines. You're not offensive to anybody. But the gospel is that it is offensive to people because it shines light on sin. Plain and simple. That's what it does. If you propagate it properly.
Exactly.
Right. If you are preaching the gospel message, if you are preaching law and grace, you're gonna find, this thing I don't want to hear. And if you told me straight up, I don't want to hear your message, I respect that. Mm-hmm. You draw your line. We could keep moving, but it's the people within the church that are playing the games that come on a Sunday, and then on Monday through Saturday they live in lives that they know are not honorable before God, but they're fooling themselves, they're deceiving themselves, and they want to hide in darkness, and then they come back and ask for forgiveness or whatever it is they do. And let me say this: that affects the church. A little leaven leavens the whole lump. Mm. You know what I'm saying? So,
and it's like you said, it's more, but that whole mindset is more popular now. That kind of mindset that God loves you, it doesn't matter what you do, and we know grace is abundant. We know that.
Yeah.
But that whole kind of mindset of no matter what you do, grace will kind of like that super grace kind of gospel that's being spread around. You know what I mean? So. Yeah. The whole mindset of repentance is not being preached the way it used to be. And it's not, the conviction of it is not there anymore because everything is being diluted and everything's being watered down.
And I think one of the reasons why that is, especially here in our country, is because people don't want to let go of the things that they've been able to obtain because of the so-called liberties in this country. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff that, the entertainment and the things that we enjoy, and we've embedded these things into even our traditions of family and even our traditions in church, right? In our realms of worship. So we don't want to pull away from these things. So what we do is we'll hide up under the auspice of the argument that, well, it's my Christian liberty. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm saved. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing I can do to undo my salvation. So therefore, I'm free to do this because I'm saved.
Yeah. And now listen, how much harder and difficult it is for the generations under us, our children. Yeah. Listen, they're not popular. This is not a popular stance no longer. No longer is this a popular stance.
They look at us hateful.
They look at us as radical.
You're spreading hate.
Not only that, they look at it, not even hate. They look at us radical. By being a devoted, Christian, or, and that term has been used loosely.
Bible.
You know what I mean? Being a devoted man of Christ, woman of Christ, you are looked at as radical now. You know what I mean? Just because you really carry these values and you're really going all out to do and keep it 100 and live this walk for the Lord. Yeah. So now they're at, they're enemies. Like the persecution is coming now. They're looked upon. If they voice their opinion in classes, they look as like you said, hateful.
Oh yeah,
hateful by keeping these principles or believing in what God's commandments and the things of what God has taught us. Yeah. They're looked down upon, and now some of them are scared to even share their faith because it's not the popular, voice. It's the unpopular voice.
Yeah, they don't want.
And now they're being scrutinized, and they're under the gun,
which the American church has really never experienced. I'm talking about from a persecution standpoint,
right.
Outside of this is new ground,
maybe pockets, but
exactly
it's new ground for the church overall. But then you have, once again, you do have. And not trying to bash the church, but you have the overall church evangelical church that is fighting for their rights, fighting for, as Curtis is kind of talking about, they're fighting for whatever rights they have. But the reality is, what rights do we really have? Right? I mean, the reality is we are called to be slaves to Christ.
Amen.
And that language today is
It's not
gone.
popular. It's not popular
You
at
don't
all.
hear that nowhere preached. right?
Exactly.
You know, I'm a bond servant to Jesus Christ. In other words, I willingly serve him. However, and what we have, and listen, I get caught up in this as a pastor sometimes, is what new thing I can do? What program can I push? What, how can we evangelize with certain techniques? All these things. And that's just not our church. That's in multiple churches across America.
Exactly.
When in reality, we miss out on the man who's been beaten up, and we're like the religious leaders, and we walk by, and it takes a good Samaritan to come and love on somebody who's in need.
It's that simple sometimes. What y'all feel about these dethroning of these statues?
Yeah, back to that, right? I got a question. So we see that the BLM movement is not a Christian movement, correct? The organization.
Yeah.
The organization, right? Wow. Do you think they're using it as a tactic to take away the church out of our society? Because that's been something, the pattern has been set. They're taking the commandments out of governmental facilities, pictures of the cross off government. They took the Bibles out of school, prayer out of school. You can't even pray before a football
Well,
game
if it's a demonic system, that's just a natural byproduct. It will be part of it to some degree. I don't know. The thing is that you do have some religious influence in it. So you have some black pastors that are part of the movement, because of the social aspect, the social justice aspect behind it. But to what degree would the Black Lives Matter movement have in affecting the overall church? I think that just remains to be seen.
Yeah, I think we're going to tackle this on the extended.
Well, how much time we got right
Yeah,
here?
we out of time, bro.
We out of time?
we out of time, bro.
Okay. All right.
So we got to do our last segment.
All right, so we're going to finish up this last segment, but let me give one final thought here. Real quick, the church needs to come together. And I preached a message yesterday on love, agape love, and that is the self-sacrifice of self for the benefit of others. And that is who God is. The Bible says God is love, and we have to push. Listen, we have to push. We have to be the image of Christ towards the communities we're in. And it's through love. Love has to be the foundation. All right, so in our up-and-coming segment here, we got producer. He just got this track here called Electronic Evangelist, and this is Eric Rivas. He is a producer. Listen, any artists out there, you need some tunes or something, man, reach out to Eric Rivas. And his movement is Rivas Music. You can check him out on IG at Rivas Music 83. You can catch him up on Facebook at Eric Rivas. SoundCloud is where he got his tunes. You want to check out his tunes at Rivas Music. And also, if you want to hit him up on email for something, personal, he'll take care of you. Rivas Eric 845 at gmail.com. So check it out here. And Tats Nation, keep riding with us. And the Tats crew going to keep driving with you.
Yeah, listen, I want to give a big shout out to the people listening to us out in Ireland. We give you big
Dublin, Ireland.
Big shouts out, Tats Nation out there. Yeah. So big up to you guys.
Shout outs to Ben.
Try to run from him, but there he is. Jesus Christ, who are you? Who is Jesus? We can't escape him. We try to run from him, but there he is.
Music.